What is up, everybody? My name is JerickHolic8704, and normally when I start these reviews, I'm like, "Whoa, I better get going now because I got to get through this review as quickly as possible." And I don't know how I'm going to do that when this show was so fucking long. Look, they have made it their decision that they are going to have 4-hour pay-per-views for the foreseeable future, with the exception of WrestleMania, which is going to be 5 hours long. Guys, I'm not going to be able to do this. This show, it wasn't the worst show ever, but for fuck's sake, it took forever. It was never going to end. And was it worth 4 hours? No, it wasn't. And clearly, less is more. NXT TakeOver Chicago was 2.5 hours, and that show blew the show out of the fucking water. Normally it's like when there's a takeover, it's like, oh, the WWE pay-per-view, it was good, it was all right, it was fine, but the NXT TakeOver show was just great. That holds true for NXT. It was a fucking great show. This show, oh my god. I'm gonna dive right into the card. I'm gonna be shocked if I manage to recite all these matches in order without looking at any sort of cheat sheet. I don't have any notes with me, and I really should take notes, but I'm just gonna wing it because that's what I do in life, and I want my YouTube channel to reflect who I am as a person. We do have a lot of similarities. My YouTube channel, in its limited existence, has accomplished virtually nothing, similar to how in my life I have also accomplished nothing, because I spent my entire Sunday evening from 7 to 11 watching fucking Money in the Bank. So let's dive right in. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass opened the show. Look, I was ready to roast this match, but honestly, this is one of the better things on the card. It wasn't that great of a match. It really wasn't all that good. It was fine. I would say maybe star range, I don't know, 2.5 to 3. That sounds harsh. It was fine. It was way better than their Backlash match, but then again, a lot of shit is better than that Backlash match. I was fine with Daniel Bryan getting the win. I don't really think, I'm not behind Big Cass. I don't think a lot of people are. The crowd, they wanted to see Daniel Bryan win. He got the knee bar. He got his big win. He got his, revenge on Big Cass. This is the end of the program. Woohoo, we can move on to bigger and better things for Daniel Bryan. But overall, it was a fine opener. Not the greatest thing in the world, but it got the fans excited to see Daniel Bryan win. Match number 2, in a complete nothing match, we had Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. Look, this whole storyline, who could possibly give a fuck about this match? The segments leading up to it were just god awful, especially the sister interview and the obstacle course thing, and just all of it is just so fucking terrible. And Lashley shows zero personality in the ring. I was never a big fan of Bobby Lashley, even when he started back in 2006 and I was just a kid. I never understood the appeal with him. I'm not saying there's no talent there or anything like that. I just personally have never clicked with the guy, and I've never been a fan of his. He's just always been there for me. This was a complete nothing match. It made Sami Zayn, granted, he has looked like a total dork throughout this entire storyline, but this, it was 3 vertical suplexes, and he, Bobby Lashley gets the nonchalant cover. And again, Bobby Lashley showing zero personality. People were not into this match at all because, what was there to be into? That dreadful sister segment? Get the fuck out of here. So yeah, that match was complete dog shit and a complete nothing match. Third match on the show, we had Seth Rollins and Elias. This was a good match. One of the better things on the card, actually. Elias, kind of impressed me in this match. I haven't been high on him. His shtick with the guitar and everything and his chants don't really appeal that much to me. I don't think there's that much there, but he proved me wrong in this match. I had heard when they did the house show loop that Seth Rollins and Elias was tearing the house down, and people were really impressed with this match. And I can see why. Look, you can argue whether or not preparation and practice, if people should just be able to call matches on the fly. They really should. But if you need to have a lot of preparation and practice, like this match probably did, and the women's match that we'll get to in a bit, sometimes, yeah, you can say, oh, they're not real workers, yada, yada. But today it paid off. You know what I mean? They obviously went through spots. They obviously had this match choreographed, not to a completely laughable degree, but you could tell that there was a lot of thought put into this match and a lot of preparation put into it. And overall, it delivered. Sometimes, when you have someone as naturally good as Seth Rollins in there, he can really help build up someone like Elias, who is still kind of learning the ropes, no pun intended. Overall, this match was very, very good. I enjoyed it. I thought, the only thing that kind of bugged me about the match is Seth Rollins wins, via pulling up the tights and everything like that. And just, I fucking, the commentators, I was ready to kill Michael Cole, and we're going to get to Coach. Oh my God, I was ready to I'm losing my mind right now. Seth Rollins pins Elias. He rolls him up, and he pulls the tights, and as soon as he gets to 3, Michael Cole goes, Seth Rollins, what a fighting champion. And I was like, fuck you. You know, this guy cheated to win, and you're going to call him a fighting champion? Like, get the fuck out of here. I would recall, you know, some spots that happened during the match, but I didn't take any notes, obviously. I'm like the worst reviewer of all time. All you have to know is, you know, it started off with Elias getting the heat, and then, you know, Seth Rollins made his comeback pretty much. There were a lot of near falls near the end of it, but, you know, overall, it was a very, very, very enjoyable match. So then we had the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Again, like I said with the Seth Rollins Elias match, but to a more stronger degree, this match was obviously choreographed, and obviously a lot of the spots were planned well in advance. And you could argue, again, if that hurt the match, but in my opinion, it helped the match, especially since a lot of these women haven't been in ladder matches or have very limited experience in Money in the Bank ladder matches. You know, you kind of have to, you know, choreograph these things. And overall, I thought everyone played their part pretty well. I thought Naomi and Ember Moon specifically did, you know, really, really awesome stuff in this match. Lana, they kind of kept her out of the way of most ladder spots. I don't know if she even took any like ladder spots. There were clearly some stuff that was like almost a little too phoned and a little too choreographed. I remember, I think Sasha Banks was on the ladder and Becky Lynch tipped it, and Charlotte and Natalya basically like they were fighting and they just stopped and watched Sasha Banks fall down, so they're getting ready to catch her. Like there was kind of, you know, some moments of that kind of lacked authenticity. But at this point in the show, you know, I'm willing to forgive that, you know, for some cool spots, and overall a really good match. They kind of crafted it very well, and they worked around the limitations that some of the women had, especially when the main limitation for most of them was just a limited amount of experience in ladder matches, because especially for WWE, you know, these things like women's Money in the Bank ladder matches, women's Hell in a Cell matches, these things are still relatively new. I honestly thought the final few minutes of this match was the best part of it. And it mainly revolved around, you know, one central ladder in the center of the ring, and then the girls just, everyone kind of individually went up and went for it, and someone came in for the save. The ending to the match, I thought, came off a little hokey, mainly because Becky Lynch was, like, literally right there. Like, from the camera angle they shot, it looked like she had unhooked the carabiner, and she literally just had to pull the briefcase off, and she stopped because she was distracted by Alexa Bliss. But it was a callback to last year where, you know, Becky Lynch almost had it, and then it cost her the last second by another person who was less deserving of the Money in the Bank contract. So obviously Alexa Bliss wins. Obviously she cashed it in later and she's the new champion, but we'll get to that when we get there because we're not even halfway through this card. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, next we had Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns. And like, I'm still trying to wrap my head. Like, I'm having, like, almost like a crisis. Like, a literal crisis. Trying to figure out who is the person who thought this was a good idea? Like, who thought Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns would be something people would want to sit through on a 4-hour pay-per-view? Like, oh, this is definitely going to, you know, stir the crowd up and get them riled up for what's coming up next. No one gave a fuck. And it's not even like, you know, we've seen multiple matches where it's like, you know, the one that instantly comes to mind is John Cena and Randy Orton at Royal Rumble 2014. That was actually a really good match. If you like mute it, obviously the crowd just completely took it over. Like 5 seconds in, they started chanting boring and everything. But John Cena and Randy Orton, it wasn't the greatest match in the world, and probably wasn't even the best match they've had together. But they had a pretty good match together. And the crowd just never gave it a chance. Now you could argue, okay, the crowd never gave the chance to these guys as well, and you're right, they didn't. But this was a nothing match. This was absolutely awful. I didn't think anything would be worse than the Sami Zayn Bobby Lashley match, but this was just fucking atrocious. I'm pretty sure there was a chin lock that lasted 3 minutes, and I think Roman might have fallen asleep. I don't know, but I really think that happened. I'm not joking. The only redeeming thing about this match was Sunil Singh with just the plot twist of the century. They totally fooled me. I didn't think he was going to get up and push Roman against the post and everything like that. But like, there's just total nothing match. Like, there was just no effort. But oh my god! And clearly, I mean, both of these guys, especially Jinder Mahal, he really kind of seemed. I don't want to say he was offended by the crowd not giving a fuck, but you could clearly tell that it was kind of getting to him, even if he was just showing a little bit of emotion there. But you could tell. Roman Reigns, I'm pretty sure he's used to it at this point. But oh my god, there was just nothing to like about this match. It was very simple. Just Jinder just kept beating on him and beating on him and beating on him. And Roman's comeback was just met with nothing but lukewarm, just apathy. You know, it's not even like people couldn't even care. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing with Roman Reigns at this point. And people just hated him, and they just couldn't get behind him. And Vince wants he wants Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar to main event SummerSlam. I'm gonna have to sit through another 4.5 hour SummerSlam, and it's gonna end with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Like, holy shit. Why would I even watch? Why would I? Oh my god. All right, so next match, I believe, I'm just spitballing here because at this point I could lose track. I believe the next match was Carmella and Asuka. Holy fuck. I mean, like, oh my god. So, like, I'm not, like, doing this for dramatic effect. Like, I'm really trying to rationalize what I'm about to say, and I could edit all these, like, grunts and just brain farts out of this commentary, but I really don't want to, because I want you to see just how this pay-per-view is I'm just broken. I'm just wonderful. Like, you know, I'm just gonna channel my inner Matt Hardy. You know what I mean? So, God, I wonder if that was the inspiration behind the broken Matt Hardy. He like traveled to the future and watched 4-hour pay-per-views in 2018 and was just like, fuck this. Anyway, Carmella and Asuka. The main reason this match sucked was because the majority of it was Asuka selling for Carmella. And think about that for a second. Asuka was selling for Carmella. You know, it just totally boggles the mind about how stupid they can be. Asuka got very little offense in this match. A majority of it was just Carmella, and just, it's not even like Carmella's this powerhouse or anything, or she has any sort of credibility to her. She's portrayed as a joke, and you want this joke. I understand, like, oh, Asuka's been defeated. She's human. She's vulnerable now, but she's still Asuka. She still had this undefeated streak. She's still seen as one of the more dominant women on your roster. And, you know, you wonder why, like, people don't take your shit seriously. And it's like when you book, you know, a person who's portrayed as a joke, it would be one thing. And, you know, the whole thing with Ellsworth coming in the end, that made it 10 times worse. And it would be one thing if Asuka had this match dominated and Ellsworth showed up and distracted her for a brief moment, and Carmella just got a fluke pinfall where she grabbed the tights or grabbed the ropes or some shit like that and then rolled her up. But no, it was Asuka was starting to get some sort of comeback going on, and then James Ellsworth shows up dressed in Asuka attire, and Asuka is just immobilized. Not only is Asuka like a fucking wimp for getting beat up by Carmella, but she's also just a fucking idiot. You portrayed this woman like you had one of the most dominant, not even just women, like dominant individuals on the roster. At this time last year, Asuka was the shit in this company. And look what you're doing to her. How can you expect anyone to take her seriously ever again? God damn it. That match just pissed me off. All right, so then we had AJ versus Nakamura. Okay, the last man standing match, there have been great last man standing matches, you know, and like, God, this feud. Like, look, if you told me back in 2016, after they had their epic match at Wrestle Kingdom, you're going to be like, hey, you know what? They're going to feud in WWE, and you know what? It's going to fucking blow. I would think you were absolutely insane. You know, their matches haven't been that bad. The WrestleMania match was fine. The Greatest Royal Rumble match was okay. The Backlash match, it was all right before the horrendous finish. Their match on SmackDown, honestly, I think was their best match. If I'm being, you know why? Because it didn't have any fucking bells and whistles attached to it. It was a fucking match. And like the WrestleMania match, you know, I think everyone just had this, you could argue, everyone was like, oh, it's going to be the 5-star classic. Yeah. Like everyone's going to say like, oh, you put too many expectations on that match. You just let them wrestle. I don't give a fuck. All right. The WrestleMania match, it could have been better. But you know what? At this point, I'll take the WrestleMania match over something like this. Look, this match wasn't that bad, but like it took forever to get going. It really wasn't all that great until the last 5 minutes. And this match went about 30 minutes. And I mean, the last man standing stip can be a hindrance if you don't book around it. And they didn't. It was just a lot of stopping and starting because we had to count to 10. There's ways to book a last man standing match, and I don't really think this is it. Now, the last 5 to 10 minutes of this match were really good, especially the last couple where you had that awesome, you know, Styles clash onto the floor and the phenomenal forearm. But the main problem that just drove me crazy in this match is Shinsuke Nakamura not winning. Now, obviously, the way this feud panned out, maybe he shouldn't win the title. Maybe they should groom him for another time. But in my opinion, like, look, Nakamura, I don't know how long he's staying with WWE. I don't know how long his contract is. But, like, this is the time to put the title on him. You know, and, like, this has to be the end of the program. I can't take another Nakamura-Styles match. And if they are going to have another Nakamura-Styles match, it better fucking be a classic. You know what I mean? Because, like, I just can't do it with this feud anymore. They've ruined it. They've ruined AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. How the hell do you do that? God damn it. Like, again, I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy. I don't want to sound like I'm just bashing the product. And the thing is, like, I'm going to go on a side tangent here, and, like, we're 15 minutes in. Who gives a fuck? So, like, I was listening to Meltzer, and, he's like, I hate to make comparisons to New Japan, but, like, there's such a talent gap between New Japan and WWE, and I was like, you know what? I disagree with that, because, yeah, like, New Japan has wrestlers like Okada and Omega and Ibushi and Takahashi and Naito and shit like that, and Tanahashi. Like, those are some of the best wrestlers in the world. But to say that WWE doesn't have talent that matches up to that, like, like AJ Styles, Nakamura, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Daniel Bryan, like, those guys can give those guys a run for their money. And it's like, I watched the TakeOver show yesterday, and I'm like, I don't know what Meltzer's talking about. Like, sure, this wasn't as good as Dominion or Wrestle Kingdom, but you know what? This was a really fucking great show. And, like, NXT TakeOver New Orleans, like, that gives Wrestle Kingdom a run for its money. And then I watch a show like this, I'm like, you know what? He's got a fucking point, because this show is just so bottom of the barrel compared to New Japan. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, it's just so fucking bad. So, anyway, but I feel like I'm saving this rant for a match that really wasn't horrible. It just was disappointing. And, like, in the early portion of the match, it really wasn't anything exciting and really nothing to write home about. Sure, the ending was great, but I mean, you got to remember the first part of the match, which really wasn't anything special. So after that match, we had the Women's Championship match, Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax. Honestly, this match it exceeded my expectations, and I can't even begin to tell you how. First of all, Ronda Rousey was really, really good in this match. I know I sound speechless, and it's because I am, because I did not think Ronda Rousey would be this good. I thought her selling was great. I thought she did a really, really good job in the ring. I thought Nia Jax pulled her weight just as, she did her job in this too. It wasn't the greatest match I've ever seen in the world, but I was expecting this match to fucking blow ass. You don't even know. Her comeback, Ronda Rousey's comeback, was awesome. I thought that it started out really, really strong, and just everything seemed to flow together in a perfect match, and when I say perfect, I don't mean like it was the greatest match I've ever seen, but it did its job, it served its purpose, and it was entertaining, which is a lot more than I can say about a lot of other fucking matches on this show. While this match was very good and I enjoyed it, the best part, and I use best with like the most obnoxious air quotes I could ever produce with my own two fingers, Jonathan Coachman, this motherfucker. Oh my God. So Nia Jax has Ronda Rousey in a bear hug. She's just choking the life out of this girl. And this man, Jonathan Coachman, has the audacity, the fucking nerve to say, oh, well, this is actually this is a very opportune moment for Ronda Rousey, because she can find a time to catch her breath while she's in the submission hold. And at this point, Michael Cole, I've never felt closer to Michael Cole in my entire life. We both, along with Corey Graves, just buried this motherfucker. Like, how fucking stupid of a comment is that? Like, I can't wrap my head around how just dumb. Like, what? The whole point of a bear hug is like oh my God. Like, dude, I think I almost turned the pay-per-view off after that. Like, I almost walked away. And Corey Graves just said, Coach, how did you get it? Like, how are you still employed? And I was like, that's $1 million question. And, like, all this shit I've ever given Michael Cole, I, like, apologize. I was ready to fly to Chicago to shake Michael Cole's hand and be like, listen, I'm sorry for all the shit I've ever said about you. And then just kicked Jonathan Coachman right in the balls. Like, that is my sole purpose in life. I will not rest easy until I kick Jonathan Coachman in the balls for saying such a stupid statement. And I didn't mind the Alexa Bliss cash-in. I thought it was booked very well, and for a number of reasons. For one, Ronda Rousey was attacked from behind, so this doesn't, it's not like she lost a fair fight or something like that. She was attacked with a weapon, so it wasn't like, Alexa Bliss just out-punched her, outmaneuvered her or something like that. Like, she used a briefcase to basically beat the hell out of her. And, they attacked Ronda Rousey in the match, so Ronda Rousey wins that match via DQ. And it always kind of bugged me when it's like wrestlers have lost via disqualification, but it's like, oh, they haven't been pinned. Ronda Rousey technically won this match, and she was in a position where it looked like she was going to win. So it really, they kept Ronda Rousey as strong as they possibly could, and I can't thank them enough for that. And, the Alexa Bliss cash-in, people popped for it. People popped for her winning the briefcase, and, they're able to get the title off of Nia Jax, and they're going to put it on Alexa Bliss, and it's going to be awesome to watch, Ronda Rousey destroy Alexa Bliss. I feel like that match is going to happen at SummerSlam. So I think overall, like, that was a pretty good move. I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the angle. I thought, thumbs up here. So then we had the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. By the time the fucking video package played and all the entrances were made, it was 10:50. And I'm like, oh my God, not only is it going to be 4 hours, it's going to be more than 4 hours, as if that isn't long enough. And look, I feel bad for just complaining about oh, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I just want more and more wrestling. But no. I just want good wrestling. I can watch a 4 hour show if it's a good 4 hour show, but this was not a good 4 hour show. And you can't have a 4 hour show every single month. This is the minimum time they're going to have for pay-per-views. They need, if you want to go 3.5 hours, fine. 3 hours and 15 minutes, fine. You don't need to go 4 hours, and you don't need to go beyond 4 hours. So this men's Money in the Bank ladder match, it was fine. I really didn't have too many faults with it. They did the usual, let's take out the strongest guy first and bury him under the ladders. The best part of the match, honestly, that I really enjoyed is when Finn went to grab one of the ladders and Braun Strowman just emerged from the rubble and just started wreaking havoc. He threw Kevin Owens off the ladder, which was a really, really fun, really, really cool moment. Overall, I don't think they made much out of, they didn't really have a lot of drama in this match. It was just kind of spot after spot after spot over. And Braun winning, sure. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it because he's over. People like him. It's not the worst winner. I don't think Braun Strowman needed the Money in the Bank ladder match contract. I mean, it can be fun. I'm not going to hate on it too much. I just think, he was not my first choice to win. He was in the bottom of the list of who I think should have won. But overall, if people like him and he's over and he should be champion. So at the end of the day, I mean, I can't complain too much. And look, I'm trying to find just anything to like about this pay-per-view. And again, this wasn't the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen, but my God, I think it's just the length combined with just some of the illogical booking decisions and some matches that shouldn't even be on the card altogether, like Carmella and Asuka, or, Jinder Mahal and Roman Reigns. And that's the other thing, this pay-per-view is 4.5 hours. So it's even your nothing matches, your Bobby Lashley's and your Sami Zayn's have to go 10 minutes. It's that match should have been 3 minutes if you're going to book it like that. If you're going to have it be a total nothing match where Bobby Lashley just beats the shit out of Sami Zayn. So, look, I'm sorry for not having a detailed analysis of each match. I'm just telling you guys how I feel. I don't even know if I would call this a review, more like a rant. So, just that's it for me. My name is Jerichoholic8704, and hopefully I will see you guys later with more upbringing, positive commentaries. But I'll see you guys later.